In the scorching Nevada desert, two crooked cops thought they'd outsmarted everyone. They pulled over DEA agent Monica Tretton, planted drugs in her sleek black Charger, and laughed as they slapped cuffs on her wrists, certain they'd buried her in Dustin County's corrupt system. But they made one fatal mistake. They didn't know who they were messing with. Monica wasn't just any driver. She was a federal agent with a badge and a mission. Within hours, their smug grins vanished as her true identity unraveled their entire scheme. Secrets were exposed, tables were turned, and justice came crashing down. You won't believe how this small-town takedown unfolded. Stick around for a story that'll leave you speechless. They pulled her over, slipped drugs into her car, and snickered as they cuffed her. What they didn't know, she was a DEA agent, and their whole scheme was about to blow up in their faces. The late afternoon sun scorched the horizon, casting jagged shadows across the dusty two-lane road cutting through rural Nevada. Monica Tretton tapped her fingers on the wheel of her black Dodge Charger, her eyes flicking between the asphalt ahead and the rearview mirror. It had been a brutal day in court, testifying as a key witness in a federal drug trafficking case. All she wanted was to get home, kick back, and leave it all behind. But something was wrong. For the last 3 miles, a white patrol SUV had been tailing her. No sirens, no lights, just a constant, creeping presence. She held steady at 55 miles per hour, matching the speed limit signs dotting the desert road. She exhaled slowly. She knew this dance. As a DEA agent for years, Monica had dealt with small-town cops whose badges fed their egos and who answered to no one. Some loved shaking down outsiders, flexing their power over anyone who seemed like an easy mark. But Monica? She was anything but easy. Right on cue, red and blue lights flashed behind her. "Here we go!" She signaled, eased onto the sandy shoulder, and killed the engine. Her hands stayed glued to the wheel. By the book. She'd trained agents on stops like this. Stay calm, stay sharp, give them nothing. 2 officers approached, one on each side of her car. The first was lean and tall, aviators slung low on his nose like he was auditioning for a cop show. The other was stocky, pushing 50, his gut straining his khaki uniform. Their badges glinted in the fading desert light. The tall one, Officer Kyle Hensley, tapped her window. She lowered it, slow and deliberate. "Afternoon, ma'am," Hensley said, his tone dry as the sand around them. "License and registration." Monica pulled the documents from her console and handed them over. Hensley barely glanced at them before speaking again. "You in a hurry? Ran a stop sign back there." Monica's face didn't twitch. There'd been no stop sign, not even a yield. Hensley's lips curled slightly, amused. "Step out of the vehicle." There it was, the escalation. Monica kept her posture loose, her expression blank. "On what grounds?" "We'll hash it out outside." Another slow breath. She unbuckled, stepped out carefully, and closed the door. Sand crunched under her boots. The second officer, Mitch Granger, circled from the back, hands on his belt like he was itching for trouble. "Turn around," Granger said. Monica tilted her head. "Excuse me?" "Turn around, hands behind your back." Hensley stepped closer, voice low. "You got drugs in that car, don't you?" Monica nearly laughed at the absurdity. "Are you for real?" Neither smiled. "I'm a federal agent," she said, her voice firm as granite. "My badge is in my—" Granger grabbed her wrist, hard. She yanked it free, sharp and fast. "That's assault on a federal officer." Hensley's smirk faded. "Ma'am, I don't give a damn who you say you are. We've got probable cause. You match a description." A description. Monica locked eyes with him. She knew what that meant. Vague, convenient, a blank check. Hensley turned to his radio. "Dispatch, we've got a suspicious vehicle, possible drug transport. Send a K-9 unit." This wasn't a routine stop. They were setting a trap, and she was the bait. Granger's hand hovered near his taser. "We're not asking again." Monica's pulse stayed rock steady, but her jaw tightened. She could take them both down. Years of combat training made that a fact. But smarts trumped fists here. She had to play along, for now. Slowly she turned, hands behind her back. The cuffs snapped on, cold steel biting her wrists as Granger locked them tight. They shoved her toward their SUV. Her badge, still in Hensley's hand, hadn't even been checked. Hensley leaned in, his voice smug. "Welcome to Dustin County, sweetheart." He had no clue who he was dealing with. The back seat of the SUV smelled like sweat and cheap air freshener. Monica sat, cuffed, legs cramped, watching two dirty cops high-five like they'd just busted a cartel kingpin. Outside, Hensley popped her Charger's trunk, gave a low whistle, and shot Granger a sly grin. "Well, look ye here." Granger strolled over, acting like he hadn't known what was coming. "That's a shame." Monica didn't need to see it. Planted drugs, probably meth or fentanyl, something heavy enough to stick. Hensley held up a vacuum-sealed brick, waving it like a prize. "Got anything to say about that federal agent crap?" Granger shook his head, smirking. "Ain't that a kicker? We've got a trafficker." Monica's hands clenched behind her back. This wasn't a fluke. It was their routine. Pick a target, plant the goods, let the system grind them down. She breathed deep, steady. She'd been in tighter spots. Hensley swaggered to the SUV, leaning on the window frame. "Yeah, you had a badge, sure, but I ain't heard of no DEA agent hauling kilos through my county. You, Mitch?" Granger laughed, loud and cocky. Thought a fake badge was gonna save her. Monica's voice cut through, low and sharp. "Read the badge, genius." Hensley's grin stayed put. "Oh, I saw it. Real or not, doesn't matter. Know why? In 24 hours, that fancy DEA title's worth nothing." She tilted her head, studying him. "Oh, really?" "Damn right," Hensley said. "Once we book you, once your face is all over the news, no one's gonna care who you claim to be. You're just another crook. And in this county, sweetheart, you don't win." Rage simmered in Monica's gut, not fear, but cold, hard fury. They thought they could erase her, that no one would come looking, that she was just another nobody to crush. She let a small smile slip, just enough to make Hensley pause. "Something funny?" he snapped, annoyed. Her voice was calm, deliberate. "I think you're an idiot." Hensley's smirk flickered. A crack. Granger yanked the door open. "Enough! Get her out." The cuffs dug in as they pulled her from the SUV. The lot outside the Dustin County Sheriff's Station was barren, just a few patrol cars baking in the desert heat. The building was low and weathered, the kind of place where people and paperwork vanished. Hensley shoved her forward. Inside. The air was thick with stale coffee and mildew. A grizzled sergeant at the desk glanced up, barely interested. "What's this?" "Trafficker," Granger said, tossing Monica's badge on the counter. "Fake DEA credentials." The sergeant picked it up, gave it a quick look. "Huh. Booker," Hensley said. The sergeant sighed, bored. "Put her in holding." Hensley grabbed Monica's elbow, steering her down a hall lined with cells. The walls were cracked concrete, unforgiving. He leaned close. "This is where you start thinking about how bad you screwed up." And she didn't blink. "I'm not the one who screwed up." Hensley chuckled. "We'll see." The cell door slammed shut with a clang. Monica sat on the metal bench, rolling her shoulders. Getting out wasn't the issue, that was certain. She was planning how to make them pay. But first, she'd let them dig deeper. Monica sat on the cold bench, back straight, face unreadable. The cell walls were stained, the air heavy with dust and regret. She'd been in places like this, but never locked up. Across the cell, a young Latino guy, mid-20s, sat on the floor, knees up, head against the wall. He eyed her cautiously. "You knew?" She gave a half smile. "Something like that." He nodded, rubbing a bruise on his jaw. "Let me guess, Hensley and Granger?" She didn't answer. "Didn't need to." He laughed. Bitter. "Yeah, they got me too." Monica tilted her head. "What for?" He exhaled, shaking his head. "Whatever they felt like. Said my brake light was out. Stopped me, then suddenly I've got too much cash. I'm a mechanic. Been saving for a year." His laugh was empty. "Funny thing, when we got here, that cash was gone." Monica's jaw tightened. So this was their game. Hensley and Granger weren't just corrupt. They were predators, targeting anyone they thought wouldn't fight back. She leaned forward. "How long you been here?" 3 days, he muttered. "No call, no lawyer. My sister doesn't even know where I am." Her pulse ticked up. 3 days, long enough to get lost in the system. She'd waited long enough. She stood, stretching, shaking off the stiffness. The cuffs were gone, a small win, but she was still caged, and that wouldn't do. She stepped to the bars, glancing at the desk. A lone deputy sat there, skimming papers, barely awake. Then came the heavy footsteps. Hensley and Granger back for more. The guy in her cell tensed. Here we go. Hensley stopped at the bars, grinning like he'd won big at poker. He tapped the metal with his knuckles. "How's it feel, sweetheart?" Monica met his gaze, cool as the desert night, like a bad joke. Granger snorted. "Oh, it's real. Real enough to keep you here a long damn time." Monica tilted her head. "You sure?" Hensley crossed his arms. "Look, I get it. You thought flashing that badge was going to mean something. But this ain't Vegas. Out here we run the show. No feds, no fancy lawyers, no backup. Just us." Monica stepped closer, voice steady. "Oh, really?" "Damn straight," Hensley said. She exhaled, shaking her head. "I'm giving you one last chance. Come back, open this door, and pretend this never happened." Hensley laughed, harsh and mocking. Granger joined in, shaking his head. "You've got guts," Hensley said. Monica's smile turned sharp. "I've got jurisdiction." Then, outside, tires screeched on pavement. Hensley's radio crackled. "Sheriff, federal agents at the front gate. They're asking for a Monica Trenton." Hensley's grin vanished. Monica edged closer to the bars, tilting her head. "What was that you said?" Granger grabbed his radio. "Who the hell called the feds?" Monica smiled, all teeth. "Didn't have to." Hensley spun on her, face twisted with fury. Before he could finish, the station's front door slammed open. Boots hit the floor, hard, purposeful. A voice cut through. "Where the hell is my agent?" Hensley and Granger froze. Monica just smiled. Game over. The cell door screeched open, echoing off the walls. Monica stepped out, rolling her shoulders, as a tall black man in a crisp suit waited. Deputy Director Marcus Vance, a man who didn't leave his office unless it was personal, sized her up, then turned to Hensley and Granger, his face unreadable. "Names." Now. Neither moved. Vance's eyes narrowed. "I said names. Move it." Granger stammered. "Sir," she was detained with, "You planted it," Vance snapped, his voice like a whip. Hensley's mouth opened, then shut. For the first time, he looked shaken. The power had shifted. A U.S. Marshal stepped forward, badge flashing. "We're taking her to court. Interfere, and I'll add charges." Granger's face flushed. "Charges? What's that supposed to mean?" Vance crossed his arms. "Let me break it down. You detained a federal agent illegally, planted evidence, and violated her rights. You two are facing serious time before nightfall." Hensley's jaw clenched. "This is a mistake." Vance smirked. Cold. "Oh, it's a mistake yours, thinking you'd get away with it." With a click, Monica's cuffs fell. She rubbed her wrists, giving Hensley a long stare before brushing past him, silent. But she wasn't done. Monica sat at the defense table, calm, waiting. The courtroom smelled of dusty wood and old carpet, a place where guys like Hensley and Granger thought they were untouchable. Across the room, the two officers sat with their lawyer, a local public defender who looked desperate to be elsewhere. The judge, an older woman with gray hair and a sharp gaze, cleared her throat. "Let's begin." The prosecutor stood, adjusting his tie. "Your Honor, the state charges Ms. Trenton with drug trafficking, possession with intent to distribute, and resisting arrest." Monica didn't react. She wanted them to feel safe, to think they had control for just a moment more. The judge turned to her. "Mrs. Trenton, do you have counsel?" She leaned forward. "Won't need it, Your Honor." Whispers rippled through the room. The prosecutor frowned. The judge nodded. "Very well. How do you plead?" Monica smiled, slow and sharp. "Before I answer, Your Honor, I'd like to submit something." She pulled a laminated ID from a folder, stood, and handed it to the bailiff, who passed it to the judge. The judge studied it, her eyebrows rising. The prosecutor leaned forward, confused. "What's that?" The judge set the badge down with a sigh, eyeing Hensley and Granger. This is a federal badge. Miss Trenton is a DEA special agent. The room went silent. Hensley and Granger turned pale. Monica's voice was low, steady. That's right, Your Honor. And if the state wants to keep charging a federal agent framed by 2 corrupt officers, I'm ready to proceed. The prosecutor's face twisted. Your Honor, The judge raised a hand, stopping him. She turned to the officers. Care to explain? Hensley shifted. Your Honor, we had probable cause. Monica laughed, short and sarcastic. Probable cause? You had nothing. You stopped me thinking you could skate. The judge's face hardened. She looked at the prosecutor. I assume you're dropping all charges? The prosecutor, looking ill, nodded. Yes, Your Honor. Good. The judge turned to Monica. Agent Trenton, you're free to go. But Monica didn't sit. She faced Hensley and Granger. Now, let's talk about what happens to dirty cops who frame innocent people. They weren't getting off this time. Hensley and Granger sat rigid, gripping the table like it was their only anchor. Their faces were ashen, arrogance gone, replaced by raw fear. The judge adjusted her glasses and stared them down. Officers, this court takes corruption seriously. Her voice was firm, unyielding. Monica stepped forward, arms crossed, pinning them with her gaze. She had them cornered. Let's go over it. Hensley, you start. His jaw twitched, silent. You stopped me for a non-existent stop sign, said I matched a description, then planted drugs in my trunk, thinking no one would look for me because you booked me under a fake name. She tilted her head. Miss anything? Silence. Granger opened his mouth, but Monica cut him off. Oh, wait. There's more. She grabbed a file from the prosecutor's table. You're not just crooked, you're sloppy. She held up a bank statement. The FBI ran your accounts the second I called it in, and guess what? They're talking. Big deposits. Too big for a small-town cop's pay. Thousands, rolling in regularly, from a shell company tied to drug trafficking. The prosecutor snatched the papers, eyes widening as he read. Monica turned back to the officers. You didn't just frame people. You got paid for it.
The room erupted. The judge banged her gavel. Order! Order! Hensley shot up. This is ridiculous. There's no proof. Monica raised an eyebrow. No proof? Funny, my department's got wire transfers, call logs, even a video of Granger meeting dealers. Granger paled. That's a lie. Monica nodded at the door. It swung open. A federal marshal stepped in, followed by 2 suits. The lead, Special Investigator Luke Carter, held up a sealed warrant. Your Honor, we have warrants for Officers Kyle Hensley and Mitch Granger, conspiracy, evidence tampering, and civil rights violations. Hensley stumbled back, stammering. You set us up. Monica laughed, cold. No, you set yourselves up. Granger jumped up. You can't do this.
The marshal stepped forward, cuffs ready. We can. Hensley bolted for the door, but 2 deputies grabbed him, slamming him against the table and cuffing him. Granger stood frozen, staring at Monica, hands shaking. The marshal yanked his arms back. Mitch Granger, you're under arrest.
As the 2 disgraced cops were dragged out, Monica exhaled slowly. Justice was a long game. But today, she'd won. One last thing to do. The courtroom cleared fast after the chaos. The prosecutor sat slumped, rubbing his forehead, probably wondering how it all fell apart. The judge was gone. Now it was just Monica, Vance, and a few feds. Vance turned to her, arms crossed. You good? She nodded. Yeah. Her shoulders were tense, hands clenched. But not today, she said. Today they lost. He gave a small nod, started to leave, but paused at the door. Thanks, he muttered. Monica watched him go. He shouldn't have to thank her. She shouldn't have been here at all. Vance put a hand on her shoulder. Let's move. But before they left, The prosecutor called out, "Agent Trenton." She turned. He stood, pale, hesitating. Then he sighed. "You're lucky we found out who you were before trial. If not..." Monica raised an eyebrow. "Lucky? I'm not the lucky one." Ah. He blinked. She stepped closer. Voice icy. "You didn't ask questions when they brought me in. Took their word, filed charges, left me to rot. How many others got that treatment?" He stiffened. I didn't... Don't need an answer." She held his gaze, then turned away. Vance walked beside her to the exit. The Nevada sunset burned the sky red and gold. The air smelled of sagebrush. Monica breathed deep. Vance glanced at her. "Ready to go?" She smiled faintly. "Yeah, 'cause this wasn't just a win, it was a warning. And Hensley and Granger weren't the only ones who needed to hear it." She stepped out of the courthouse, the last light fading over the desert. The air was cleaner out here, freedom had a scent, and Monica would never take it for granted. Vance walked beside her, hands in his pockets, his face softer now. "They'll be in federal custody by morning," he said. "DA's office is scrambling to disown this." Monica smirked. "Good, because this isn't just about two bad cops. It's the system that let them run wild." Vance sighed. "You know this won't be the last time, right?" She nodded. "I know, but today we took down two." A few yards away, a small crowd lingered on the courthouse steps. Locals, maybe victims of Hensley and Granger. People who never thought they'd see those badges fall. Among them was the mechanic, standing apart, hands in his pockets. When their eyes met, he gave a slight nod. Respect, gratitude. Hope. That was enough. Monica climbed into Vance's black SUV, and he shot her a look. "What's next?" She settled in, rubbing her wrists. "Same as always." Vance chuckled, starting the engine. "Which is?" She leaned back, the courthouse fading in the rear view. "Making sure guys like Hensley and Granger think twice before they try it again. Some think power's a shield, that a badge, connections, or the system will save them, but justice always finds a way. Hensley and Granger weren't special, just two more names on a long list of those who thought they were untouchable, until they weren't." Monica knew the fight wasn't over. There were plenty more out there, gaming the system, hurting the helpless. But that was okay. Every time one fell, it sent a message. Monica Trenton's story in Dustin County teaches us a powerful lesson. No one is above justice, and truth has a way of breaking through even the darkest schemes. Facing corrupt officers who abused their power, Monica didn't falter. She used her resilience, wit, and belief in what's right to expose their crimes. In life, we may encounter those who wield authority to harm or silence others, but this story reminds us to stand firm, seek truth, and fight for justice, no matter the odds. It's a call to stay vigilant and hold the powerful accountable. Justice may take time, but it arrives. Thank you for joining us in this gripping tale. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories that inspire and challenge. Let's keep the conversation going.